blood in your brain, you're in the nerds domain. Come on in, it's about to begin. Domain. The Nerds Domain.
Welcome to the Nerds Domain Podcast. In this episode, we review a brand new movie that just came out. It's an immediate movie review.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Nerds Domain Podcast. This week, we're doing an immediate movie review of Captain America: Winter Soldier. I'm here with Shirley.
Hello.
And Jesse.
Hi.
And we have two special guests, Bruce from Heroes and Villains Podcast. Say hello, Bruce.
Hello, heyo, heyo.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about your podcast real quick?
Well, my podcast takes a look at one particular character. It's usually a hero. Sometimes it's a villain, primarily from comic books. But these days, things are always mixed media, so you never know where it's going to come from. But we just take something and we dive into it. Like when you were on my show with the Tick, we had a good time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I just last night recorded an episode where one of the influences was Arthur from the Tick. So there you go.
Awesome. And we're also here with Geeky Joe from Geeky Podcast. I'll just smash all that together.
Geeky Faucet Podcast.
Yes. Wow.
You might want to just go ahead and use the audio whiteout and just cover that all up.
Yeah. So, Joe, why don't you tell us about your podcast, since I don't know what it is?
Yeah.
And
that's okay. My podcast is called the Geeky Faucet Podcast, and it's primarily a look at different aspects of entertainment, comics, film, movie. Well, I should say movies and film, but TV. Different aspects of pop culture that I find entertaining, and I usually talk about one or two topics a show with a guest or with one of my regulars. And what tends to happen is it kind of works out a little bit like a kaleidoscope. You look into it and you find that the show is fragmented pieces of one topic, and it gets kind of scattered. But I find that it's sometimes better to just go with the conversation, and the topics range so greatly anyway that one episode might be about comic collecting, the next episode might be about the Academy Awards, and the next one about pro wrestling. So you never know what you're going to get.
Hey,
right on.
Joe, by the way, you guys have to do a wrap-up of The Walking Dead. And my wife, the night of the season finale of Walking Dead, my wife actually had her photo taken with Beth and Tyrese. So you've got to get her on that show.
Awesome. We are going to do a wrap up for the season. I was already talking with the guys that did the other mid-season review and the season preview, so that will be coming up. We'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, you won't find a bigger fan than her. I don't mean bigger like physically. I just mean she likes the show.
Okay, good. We do have a weight limit on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh wow, how did I get on?
That's dangerous.
She's under 750, I promise.
Okay, good. That's about right.
So let's get into Captain America: Winter Soldier just a little bit. This will be a spoiler-free part. Eventually, we'll hit spoilers and we'll warn you ahead of time. So we'll start with Bruce. You got to see the movie. What did you think about it?
I really, really liked it, but you know, ever since the Avengers, I've been looking for like this next big movie, and Iron Man 3 was the first one they offered us, and I was very disappointed. I mean, there's no other way to say that. I was disappointed in Iron Man 3. Thor: The Dark World was good, and they really stepped it up just a bit with this Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I mean, it's a good movie. It's a great movie, but it's not quite the next Avengers, but they really take some steps to really reset where we're going in the future. So we know that Avengers 2 will not be like Avengers.
All right. What about you, Joe?
I feel that there are definitely aspects of this movie that made it a great film, regardless of the fact that it comes from like the comic book background. I think that it was more than what I expected in some regards, but I probably would be one of the more critical people when it comes to films. Sometimes going in maybe with too much hype, I think I look at it one way or the other. But I felt like it was good, but I don't know that it was the film, again, kind of like Bruce said, to take the place of the Avengers and the way that movie hit the mass public. But I will say this. I was pleased with overall the pacing of the film. I liked it plot-wise, and I do agree I like the reset kind of how the universe is going to change a little bit moving forward. Also, too, I got to agree with Bruce. Iron Man 3 was quite disappointing. I just figured I'd get that jab in there.
Right on. Jesse, what'd you think?
It was a good popcorn action movie. I like the fact that it seemed kind of self-contained. If you was to bring somebody here who had seen none of the other Marvel movies, this would still be a decent enough movie on its own.
Okay. Shirley.
It's funny that Jesse says that. I was going to say something similar to that because when we were at we went to a convention this afternoon and was talking with someone, they were like, well, I was disappointed, or not that I didn't like it very much because of the Avengers this or Avengers that, and I kind of took a step back and thought about it, and I was like, no, it seems like a wholly self-contained, like, you know, when you're reading a book, you get, this is the character, and this is the character background, and then all the characters get together, and I think that's what the Avengers is. It's something as a whole and a whole separate story, but this is one of the character that lends to that story, and he has a story of his own.
Yep.
So that's how I felt about that aspect of it. As far as action goes, I loved it. It was just another amazing, fast-paced, on the edge of your seat, and I was either on the edge of my seat or sitting all the way back with my hands over my eyes, half the time. So, yeah, I really liked it.
All right. I think I have to agree with all you guys. I think it was a good movie. I don't think it was an amazing movie like Avengers, but I have to agree. I think it's, of the sequels within the Marvel Universe, I think this is the best one. Iron Man 2 was really kind of fell flat for me. Iron Man 3 fell even flatter. Thor: The Dark World was okay, but I think that this was better than that. I really am in love with the Captain America character, and I really love the interplay that he has with the Falcon, and I think that was really well handled here. Without any spoilers, there's some other character connections that are made and are dealt with, and I think they're all dealt with really well and handled pretty much the way they should be. And I have to agree, this felt like it could stand alone away from the Avengers, and I think that's the strength of the comic books coming through. Captain America has had his own story for years, and it's always separate. It can always be separate from the Avengers. Sometimes it's important to include the Avengers, but not always. He's his own person, so I think that kind of shines here.
And I hope you guys went and listened to my Winter Soldier episode with Dan, because it was really laying down the groundwork you need to know for this movie.
Well, I hate to be that guy, but I'm a little behind. I might have just finished up the Gambit episode from
the one from 7
ago.
years ago, yes.
Yeah. I when I lost my job, getting back into podcasting became kind of hard. So, like listening to them. So it's just been kind of rough.
See, I did my homework. I actually listened to that episode because I don't know anything about Captain America. He's never really been on my radar before. So,
and Shirley didn't know anything about Winter Soldier, so it was all a reveal.
No,
but we can get kind of deeper into that after the spoilers.
And no spoiler here, but me and Dan laughed about how when a certain character was unmasked and the crowd in the theater gasped at who it was, that we knew by the title.
Yeah, I hate you guys.
Yeah,
literally.
So let's go around again and give it an out of 5. 3 being average, so a couple of you guys haven't been here before for this, but 3 being average and 5 being like a masterpiece. What would you guys rate it? We'll start with Bruce again.
4.25.
4.25, okay. All right. What about you, Joe?
Kind of, well, he didn't steal my joke directly, but I was going to say 4.
And a quarter?
4.2517, if anybody gets that.
I don't.
Say it again.
I said 4.2517.
I like that.
Yeah, somebody got it.
Oh, somebody clue us in.
Yeah. Jesse, what about you?
I'd give it about a 4.
Okay. Shirley?
Yeah, I would give it a 4.5. It's going on my, when I am able to buy it, it's going on my shelf.
Okay. And I give it a solid 4 and a quarter. Yeah, I think that's a good I think that's a good number. So I think we all agree that if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. If you love the other Marvel movies, this one's probably right there with you. It's going to follow right in that same feeling. If you haven't seen the other Marvel movies, it may not be a bad idea to go check this out anyway. There are some things in Captain America you might want to know, but really, he woke up from World War II and he's dealing with adjusting to the current world. That's it. So, with all that said, we're going to go ahead and get into spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers or you haven't seen the movie, this is the point where you should stop and not listen to this anymore. Go see the movie, then come back.
Can't we put like a siren sound effect or something?
Woo! Woo! Yeah, our soundboard is exceptionally high tech. So this is the point where we're going to go ahead and get into spoilers. So, what do you guys think? What part of it stood out to you the most?
I have a lot of questions.
Oh, good.
Go ahead.
If only we knew somebody that had studied Winter Soldier thoroughly.
Yes, I will answer your questions, Jess, or I'll make up lies.
Okay, in the first Captain America movie, his sidekick that goes up on the rocket.
The very
with him,
first one, the one from 1970?
No, the first new one.
Oh, okay, not the one with Reb, what's his name, Reb Wilson or whatever. Okay, go ahead.
No, but when he went up on the rocket and he got knocked off in the ice, was that Bucky with him on that rocket, or was that a different guy?
No, Bucky was on the train. Bucky got kicked off the train and got his arm cut off. I thought he was smaller than that. Yeah, Bucky got his arm cut off. Hint, hint.
Oh, yeah, that's
cybernetic
right.
arm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got my Captain friends mixed up.
That's okay. Any other questions, Jesse?
Well,
you said a bazillion.
No, I did. That was the big one.
Okay.
Would it?
Go ahead.
Would it not have been possible to have gotten Robert Downey Jr. to make an appearance?
No.
Because
you cannot do that. You cannot waste Robert Downey Jr. in a Thor movie. You cannot waste him in a Cap movie. But what you could do is have Clint Barton, Jeremy Renner. You could have had Hawkeye here.
Yeah.
And that was so visibly absent to me. Like, Hawkeye belonged in this movie. Hawkeye and Black Widow are very similar. They're both agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hawkeye should have been in this movie. And I understand that they can't have two birds. You can't have Falcon and Hawkeye, I guess. But Hawkeye really should have been here, at least towards the end. I mean,
wasn't
he is so in love. He is so in love with Scarlett Johansson, much like myself and most of my friends. But anyway, he is so in love with the Black Widow that when her life is on the line, he's going to show up and shoot some arrows at people, whether it helps or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. The concept of, there's some really big crap going down, just like in New York, and now nobody shows up to help out the captain.
No. It's not just like in New York. New York, it was an alien threat. The whole planet was being threatened. This was an internal threat, so only S.H.I.E.L.D. people would know. So I understand why Iron Man and Thor aren't there, but Clint Barton, Hawkeye, should have been there. And I'll also kind of say that, maybe the Hulk could have worked his way in, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you look at this, though, you have to accept it with the grain of salt that this has to happen around the same time as Iron Man 3 and Thor 2. Like, they have to, not exactly at the same time, but they have to have some sort of overlap or closeness, or otherwise everybody's going to show up every movie, and then no character gets to shine.
Well, that's what I really liked about the Thor movie, was it took place in England. I mean, they specifically drew it away from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, awesome. And the Iron Man 3 movie was an Iron Man movie. I mean, there's no calling it. Let's be honest. Iron Man is the boss. Even though the comic book Avengers are run by Captain America, in the movie realm, Iron Man is the boss. And he doesn't need to call them in for what happens in Iron Man 3, because he's got this really, really cute girl who can kick butt, Pepper Potts. But something I want to draw back to here on this new Cap movie is in the comic books, Natasha Romanova, Black Widow, she had a romantic relationship with Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, spoiler, with the Winter Soldier during his KGB days, because she had some of Nick Fury's anti-aging formula, so she hasn't aged since the 60s. But in her KGB Wet Works Deadly Assassin days for Russia, her and Bucky were, a word that rhymes with Bucky but starts with a different letter.
See, that was another question I had. Didn't in the comics wasn't the Winter Soldier more Russian-y and less Hydra? Or
no, Hydra, Russia. He was a machine that could be bought and sold. It's just like saying that, because France sells their jets to Iraq, or those French jets or Iraqi jets, it doesn't matter. Hydra essentially bought Bucky from Russia after the Cold War ended, and the Winter Soldier totally was created after the Cold War. So this whole Russian thing was retroactive by Bendis or Brubaker. Was it Bendis or Brubaker? Anyway, it doesn't matter, but it's a wonderful character, one of the best characters ever created. He became the heir apparent to Steve Rogers at one point. A beautiful character, but I got to say that he can be Hydra and Russia at the same time.
So, Joe, what did you think?
When you get into I'll go kind of into the whole cameo aspect first. I didn't expect there to be a big cameo in this film, but I did expect to see the Hawkeye character show up. I mean, I agree that...
That's what I said.
Yeah, I agree that there was at least one or two spots where he could have showed up, kind of saved the day, so to speak, helped him out, and then kind of disappeared off again because he was doing something else and didn't have to be in a big portion of the film. But I was disappointed with the Black Widow in this film. I didn't dislike...
What, her pants weren't tight enough? I love those pants.
Oh, they were quite tight.
Oh, no. Joe, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I was disappointed with her entire role in the movie, the character role in the movie, but I was disappointed with the character portrayal. I didn't feel like it was on par with maybe like how they've portrayed her in some of the other times you've seen her. I mean, in the Avengers, she had a much bigger role in I guess, kind of her dialogue. But in this movie, I felt like because she was more of a central character...
She was the co-star. I mean, clearly.
Opposite of Chris Evans. Scarlett Johansson's got to obviously come at the role with the same tenacity, and I didn't feel like it felt that way. I felt like maybe they wrote it a little different. Maybe she was directed a little different. I can't put my finger on it, and that's the problem. If I could put my finger on it, I could just say.
No, I'm right there with you, because in the very opening scene when they're standing in the jet, or she's standing there and she's looking at somebody or paying attention to somebody, and she's kind of like flipping her hair back and forth, and I'm like, no effing way. She would not do that. Yeah. And then as it progressed through the movie, it seemed like she got back into that role that she had been in the Avengers, but yeah, she still seemed off. Like maybe she was being directed differently, but also she filmed two or three other movies that are coming out this year. Yeah, so maybe something of that is seeping into her roles. Because I'm going to go off on a tangent. Lucy, other movie she's coming out in.
Tangent. Can we talk about that Lucy?
Hold on. Yeah, in a minute. Just shut up. It's my.
You have to let our guest talk.
No, it's my time.
Take Lucy talk.
All right, I'm going to go change my oil. I'll be right back.
What? Oh, if you look at that trailer, so Russell can talk as long.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Russell, Bruce.
Oh, yeah. Whatever. That guy. That's
go ahead.
There.
You got to finish.
Anyway. If you go watch, what I was going to say, if you watch the Lucy trailer, that seems more like a Black Widow after the things that happened to her than how she was in this movie.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah. So go ahead, Bruce. Thanks. You can tangent.
Shirley said what I wanted to say.
I can add this. At one point early in the film as well, she has a line where she says something along the lines of, "Oh, that one's on me." Like a guy, the guy, I can't remember the character's name from early in the film, that kind of like pops back up and runs out of the room, and like I guess he tosses a grenade or something, and it was like, it just felt like, come on, she's supposed to be on top of everything that's going on. That's how they've portrayed her. And the fact that she was just like, oh, that one's on me, I just felt like right away I was like, the character's not being portrayed the same way.
Yeah. And I honestly felt like they could have played her up as being the possible leak a little more than they did. I mean, in the, what was it, that animated Avengers,
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Mightiest Heroes. Yeah, for like half of that, she's almost a villain.
Yeah.
And I just kept expecting her in this to be the one everybody's supposed to think's gone sour.
So what did you guys think of, to switch topics a little bit, Arnim Zola?
Who?
I loved it. Oh my goodness, I loved it. The best live action Arnim Zola you're ever going to get.
The guy in the computer, Jesse.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, if it had actually been like an android, they did the best they could with all this like old-fashioned magnetic tape, which, by the way, is how the IRS functions. But anyway, they had this little bunker with all the magnetic tape and stuff, and he was on this old 1982 Apple I monitor or something like that.
Yeah.
But you get the dot matrix version of his face, which is awesome, and they could have given him like this old steampunk looking robot body, which they didn't, and that's cool. But I love the way they paid the homage to Jack Kirby, who created him, and Jack Kirby had the little camera eye, which was where his head should be, and below that was the face from the monitor, and that was cool.
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was pretty interesting because of the fact that they did use the tech from kind of the past, and they made it look pretty interesting. I, for one, think that the way they played it off on the screen, the way that you saw all the banks and banks and banks of the magnetic tape, and the way that they kind of described it, and the way that he interacted with the characters, sometimes even with the first Captain America, a couple of these moments in both of these two films, I feel like they've went a little too camp for me in the way that they portray something. I could have maybe made some small adjustments to it. Like in my mind, maybe it could have been a little bit tighter, but I was surprised with how after the whole sequence played out where you get introduced to his present state, that I wasn't, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense, and it's pretty good. I was worried right from the get when they kind of showed up in the room and the whole scene started. I was kind of worried where it was going to go.
So I guess from a novice's perspective, my question is, why did they have him on that old of equipment and not transferred into, the amazing Tony Stark type of, server equipment and stuff that, could fit in your pocket?
He created himself. He created himself in 1970. Jack Kirby created him. But the time that he came up, they paid an homage to really the fact that when he came up, he was sort of an anachronism, and they carried that forward. He went from being, on punch cards, which was the original story, to being on magnetic tape. And in 30 years from now, when they retell the Arnim Zola story, he'll be on like a DVD or a Blu-ray. But he's always the last, like 2 steps behind the current generation. It's kind of his shtick, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
So do you guys feel like we'll see Arnim Zola again?
I feel like I will see him again.
in the movie universe.
Never know. You never know.
Do you think that he might be the Ultron that's coming?
No. The Ultron that's coming will definitely be he'll be a Tony Stark creation, though he shouldn't be.
Can I say that I think we did see, in this film that we're reviewing today, we did see the beginning of Ultron? Does anybody agree with me?
Yeah. Tell me more. I want to hear this.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
I want to hear your theory here, yeah.
At one point, they're working in an Apple store, and I don't know why it's so cheesy to see people sitting in an Apple store with a thumb drive, but like she's putting all these files and going through the computer, and I guess something about decryption. I don't remember the exact.
It's because she's really, really cute and can't wear a bikini, she says, because she has a 1 millimeter scar.
Yeah, but she says something along the lines of, he's like, you can decrypt this? And she says, yes, there's an AI that somebody smarter than me developed. And
that should have been the wife beater, Hank Pym, but it's going to be Tony Stark in the movie universe. I don't know why.
Exactly.
But I thought
what's going to happen is it's going to be that this algorithm that was created, this AI that was created to decrypt stuff, is going to be a Tony Stark creation, and I think that's going to be what becomes the birthing of Ultron.
Okay, so then I misunderstood the whole thing because I thought when they were pinpointing where that came from, they went and they found what's his face?
I don't know.
Arnim Zolam?
Yeah,
Yes,
Arnim Zolam.
yes.
Arnim Zolam, and that he was what they were, the AI or what they were searching for.
No, she was using an AI.
He created the encryption, so they found him. He is technically an AI, and he created the encryption, but there's still this other de-encryption program, which is the Tony Stark, which should be Henry Pym, which is going to be Scott Lang. Don't get me started. But anyway, Joe's right.
You're speaking Greek, so it doesn't matter.
Bruce is a little bitter. It sounds like.
So the German guy was AI? Because I thought he just implanted his memories and his thought into the computer system.
Well, he's really fond of number twos.
I thought he said he transferred his consciousness.
Yeah, he did. He did transfer his consciousness.
Oh, okay.
And I will say this:
I'm just going to bypass that because I don't understand.
The most important thing that came from the last 5 minutes is that Bruce said I was right. So let's.
Oh, okay. It's noted. That's going in the show notes.
Okay,
but
good.
It's because I'm really fond of Joe in that Magic Mike movie.
Oh, okay.
He looks good with his shirt off.
Wow.
So, is it possible that Ultron actually comes from the Apple computer and it's that decryption program, that AI on that?
Apple will never sign off on Ultron. Do you understand the significance of Ultron? I mean, this is the...
I'm just saying, like, he's
the apocalypse.
Instead of the solid steel body, though, he could have the Apple signal right in his chest.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
And that's just like saying, buy our product to rape people with. I mean, it's like a rape product. It's horrible. It will not be an Apple product.
It's for the betterment of the world.
I want to be disappointed if it's not Jarvis.
All right. Joe raped me twice. The world never got better.
Oh. So what else sticks out? What did you guys feel about Falcon?
I loved it. Listen to my next episode of Heroes and Villains to hear about Falcon.
Andre Tyrese? What was his name?
It was a nice surprise.
Mackie. Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie was in We Are Marshall, which was filmed here in my hometown of Huntington, West Virginia.
He's also in 8 Mile.
Yeah, but he's not the cool guy. He was really cool in We Are Marshall, which was filmed here in my hometown.
Yeah?
And I love the Falcon.
Did anybody catch that We Are Marshall was filmed in Bruce's hometown?
Yes,
I didn't know
that. Serious?
West Virginia.
That is amazing.
I
own that movie.
Yeah.
My son loves it.
I have a quick question about the Falcon.
Okay.
Okay, so he's got jetpacks.
No.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And he's got wings.
He's got jetpack.
Jetpack.
So the wings create...
Designed by Chala, by the way.
Can he flap the wings and fly, or is it all jetpack thing?
No,
It helps him navigate.
Have you ever flown on a commuter flight, Jess?
Yep.
Okay, did your airplane flap its wings?
No, but his wings flap.
Airplane. He is a little airplane. Just think of it that way.
His wings were all mobile. Why weren't they stiff?
Because he could direct his
navigation.
He only has one stiff thing on his body, and they could not show that and have a PG-13 rating.
My goodness.
Knew that was coming.
Get this guy.
I don't. West Virginia. That's where we got him from.
Oh, okay.
Huntington, West Virginia. I hear that's where We Are Marshall was filmed.
Yes.
Mackie was a wide receiver, I think.
So you guys, I love the Falcon personally. I think that he's a really good partner for Cap.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a sidekick, because I don't think he is one. I think he's right there with Captain America, and that's how Steve Rogers has always treated him.
Yeah, very well done in this movie too. I was really pleased with how his character came across.
I don't know anything about the comic book character, the Falcon, but I think knowing the actor helped me like the character even more.
Well, on Wednesday, Daniel and I will be releasing the Heroes and Villains Falcon episode, where we tell you he's not just a sidekick; he's a collaborator. He's more like when you look at Green Lantern and Green Arrow, it's a lot more like that than Batman and Robin.
Okay. Well, I'll need to listen to that one, because yesterday was the first time I ever heard of the man.
So,
hold on.
Bruce Winter...
because Green is in both of their names?
No, because they're both heroes. They're just different.
They're friends who fight bad guys, and no one's in charge.
So, Bruce, when are you doing your Arnim Zolam and your Baron von Strucker episodes?
On your birthday.
Oh, September. Awesome.
Did anybody else also have like a mark out moment when Falcon said, something along the lines of Captain America needs my help? Like, did anybody else get like goofy at that? Because that line for some reason made me chuckle a little bit.
It made me chuckle too.
I thought what he said was, when Captain America needs your help, you show up, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm wondering if it was for the same reason as me. What was the reason that gave you a chuckle?
Because Captain America doesn't need anybody's help.
I don't know. Why did it make you chuckle?
For me, it was a callback to an old video game that had a repetitive line that, like, if you played the game a lot, but it was just, you would play the game. I want to say it was a Super Nintendo game, and it was some type of game, Marvel-based game, but there was just this part where you would start up the game, and maybe it was actually arcade, and it's not Super Nintendo. I'm just thinking that
it was Captain America or Captain America and the Avengers, and it was available through the arcade. I've played it within the last year and a half because they have one here in Indianapolis.
So it was the era of like that time period, but it was an arcade game. But anyway, there was a part where you would start to play, and right in the very beginning, it would be like, Captain America needs your help. And it was just this line that's burned into my memory. So when he said, Captain America needs your help, I literally, it just came flushing back in. Yeah. So, sorry, just had to throw that in there.
No, it's okay.
Awesome.
Well, we've lost Jesse for just a moment, so when he gets back, we'll say hi again. But did you guys? So overall, you guys liked how they handled the comic book properties. What did you think of the two end scenes?
Who are you asking?
Either one of you.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and jump in because I heard some silence. The first end scene is awesome because it tells you that the X-Men properties are going to be crushed by the Avengers properties. They pick up the Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, who, her older sisters are twin babies in my mind because I'm an Uncle Jesse fan. But anyway, we've got Quicksilver, we've got the Scarlet Witch, and they're telling us, basically, Marvel is saying to Fox, do whatever you want with your little X-Men movies, but we're going to crush you with the Inhumans. We're going to just tackle it all. And, wow, I cannot wait for Avengers 2.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. I was just about to say, I feel like the Inhumans are definitely coming. That's a big thing that's coming. And also, too, the only thing I didn't like, and it comes more from the actual business end of everything, is the fact that they can't use the word mutant, which I'm okay with in actually, because the way the X-Men properties have kind of strayed, I feel like the word mutant gets so overused in those movies. But it's, because it's obviously a big part of their movies, but the fact that the mid-credit sequence kind of showed off what I think is going to be two awesome characters who I'm really looking forward to seeing on film.
No, they're not going to be awesome. They're going to be disastrous, and it's going to be a beautiful disaster.
Okay. It's going to be beautifully disastrous on film, and I just think they're going to be, I think it's going to be great. So however you want to phrase that, I think it's looking really good. So I thought that was pretty good. Though at the same time, I wasn't overly impressed with Baron von Strucker. Just the way that he was in that short sequence, I was like, okay, hopefully this guy has more weight to him. Like the next time,
he's no Benicio from the Collector thing.
I definitely felt like the quick spot you saw with the Collector was definitely more powerful. Like I thought I hated it, but I loved it.
I think I went out for a little bit. Are you guys talking about the end after the credits?
Yeah, we're talking about
those
the after.
guys? Because I know the Wonder Twins, but they weren't the Wonder Twins.
Those weren't the Wonder Twins. That was Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, the children of Magneto, but not in this version, obviously.
No.
I know Scarlet Witch.
No, they're still going to be the children of Magneto, but they just can't mention who their father is.
So, Shirley asked who the Collector was. The Collector was at the end of Thor 2. He was the guy that they gave the cube to.
A really
And more importantly,
Oh, Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
more importantly, the Collector is a Guardians of the Galaxy villain, so it's getting us to go like pay our money to see.
We really don't need more reasons to see it.
Yeah, I mean, a raccoon with machine guns.
Yeah.
That they had me at raccoon with machine guns.
I'm kind of disappointed they're
I'm
already
a
making
tree
him
hugger. I want to see
a
Groot.
villain, though, because I'd kind of like to see him working in the background a little bit longer.
The collector.
The Collector, yeah.
Well, he's not a villain in the way that like Dr. Doom
Yeah,
is a
I
villain.
just hope
He's
they
a
don't
villain
beat
in. They don't beat him.
Yeah,
He's a
basically,
villain
he's not
like
just a one
that little flying dude from the first episode 1 of Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
The
Watto.
guy with the
Yeah.
I don't know why I
Watto.
know his name.
Watto. Yeah.
Or Sebulba.
No,
Anyway.
not Sebulba, the other guy. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys like the first extra scene?
It was all right.
What'd you think about the second one?
I think it was unnecessary.
No, that was extraordinarily necessary.
Yeah.
You had to know it was happening anyway.
Those people that gasped when he took his mask off and like, oh, I'm gasping, but I don't know who he is.
Did those people that gasped when he took his mask off never watch a single trailer? Because they basically gave away who the character was like months before the movie came out in every trailer.
Unless you didn't
I
know who
didn't
it was,
see the
because Shirley
trailers.
still didn't know when we went
No,
to the theater.
look,
More
when he
importantly-
was sitting there and he still had his glasses on and I saw his hair and then he was in the bad guy's house and all you could see was his eyes, I was like, you bleepity bleep bleepers, I know who that is. That's not fair.
Well, I think it was the worst written film since Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, I will agree there, yeah.
See,
Oh,
my
okay.
aunt and uncle are
It has
not as into comics as...
Anyone who listened to my Winter Soldier podcast knew exactly who the hell that guy was.
So all 7 of us?
Well,
All 700 of us, maybe.
Oh, 700. That'd be awesome.
What? You got 700 listeners?
Wait,
No, it's very much like Clerks. It's like, you sucked X number of what? Not in a row.
yeah.
Oh.
That's
So,
my family is not as into comics as I am, and they had already connected the dots
yeah.
Okay.
before that last scene. I mean,
So overall, we all seem to like the movie, right?
Right.
yeah.
We're all happy, and you guys are all looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy now?
Heck
Oh,
yeah.
I was looking for that to begin with. I am a lot more looking forward to the new Ninja Turtles movie now that I've seen an actual commercial for it.
They have lips.
Yeah, it looks...
No.
Freaking
Doesn't matter.
out.
Fox, yes.
Freaking Matt out.
Megan Fox could run into a wall, and I'd be okay with that.
Best thumbs.
Oh, that's what it takes. All right.
I'm telling you right now, that
You're
movie
awesome.
got no respect from me for the last, I don't know how many months in the planning of it and the talk about it and everything I heard. I was like, oh, this is going to be horrible. The trailer came out, and I was pleasantly surprised with the fact that it doesn't look horrible, even if there's some more destructive porn in it, like circa the last 5 years. Every movie that's got some type of explosion has to have like an entire city implode on itself.
Yeah.
But other than that, it looked really amazing. I thought that the kind of little bit of a joke when he says, "Oh, easy, it's a mask." I thought it was perfect for the Turtles. I was surprised with how good it was.
Yeah, and
that was funny. I'll give you that, but I cannot stand the. Okay, so clearly we've got off Captain America, but I'm okay with that. But they took these characters, they made their shells too big, which just throws it off a little bit. But more importantly, they gave them lips and noses. They're turtles. They don't need lips or noses. They're freaking turtles.
I don't think they're going to have the origin story we're used to, which is fine with the Turtles. Every new iteration, they have a different origin story.
The only reason you're talking this movie up is because you own it on the movie draft.
Maybe a little.
I think it's going to be totally Eastman Laird bound. I really think it's going to go back to the origins of Ninja Turtles. Some people are going to hate it because it's not like the cartoon show, and it's going to be a little bit off, but I think it's going back to Eastman and Laird.
It's going to be good. I think my opinion of it has changed from the trailer. I actually will now give it a little bit more respect going into the subsequent trailers. I will be at least positive about it where I wasn't before.
Cool.
So this is... go ahead.
Now that you guys are talking about trailers, what were you talking about, Lucy?
Yeah. No, you said everything Bruce wanted to say.
I already said it.
So, looking at this summer, there are 4 comic book movies starting with this one. Next we get Amazing Spider-Man 2. Are you guys looking forward to that at all?
Not even vaguely.
Oh, I want to see the Rhino shove his horn somewhere deep.
I'm not really excited about it either.
I'm looking forward to it. I think that the second one will be much better than the first.
No,
I actually like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
We all do, but we didn't like the third one.
No, we didn't.
No,
it was really too bad.
Yeah, but I'm not looking forward to this movie because I don't care what the response has been from the filmmakers. Everything that I see myself brings the opinion out that you hear a lot of people echoing. There is a problem with sequels in action movies in general where they just overload the film. And in this case, because it's a comic book movie, you get the overload of villains, and it's just too much. I don't know why Sony has no other properties other than Spider-Man, so they have to put all the villains in one movie so they can spin off a Sinister Six movie. But whatever reason is that they're doing it, they're just overloading this film with a ton of villains. There's no way to make sense of it to me other than Sony doing the same thing they did with Spider-Man 3, which was, and I use this word a lot in my podcast and always, money grab. It's just like, it just comes across as a money grab, trying to get as many characters and names out there as you can. It's frustrating to me because Amazing Spider-Man was better than I thought it was going to be, but I didn't love it. And this sequel looks like I'm going to kind of quickly go the way I went with everybody else on Spider-Man 3 from Tobey Maguire's run, where, it was a horrible addition to a somewhat decent franchise. And this is just, I can't get behind it. I'll probably see it, so I guess I can't say anything horrible about it until I see it, but my opinion going in is very
bad.
Yeah. So do you think they're sacrificing story to just push all that in there?
Well, that's yet to be determined, I guess.
Yeah, you just can't focus on any one. I mean, there's too much going on.
Yeah, okay. So, next, after that... go ahead, Bruce.
I promise you this, that Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man Part 2, whatever they call it, will be better than the first one.
Can't be much worse.
You guarantee it?
I guarantee.
Okay. What about X-Men Days of Future Past?
It'll be awesome.
Jesse, you're not looking forward to it?
Not overly.
Why?
I'm not a big X-Men fan. I don't know. I'll watch it, but...
So you don't love happiness?
Jesse, you are not the man I thought you were.
Man. I did a bit on this in my upcoming episode, so I will promote my podcast a little bit. I'm going to take a page out of Bruce's book here. On the next episode of the Geeky Faucet Podcast, you will hear me talk on many things, but one of which will be my opinion and theory on what is going to happen in X-Men Days of Future Past. I think a lot of people probably share in, but I'm very certain that what we're getting from Fox is a complete, and it just plays perfectly into the story. It's a complete retconning of the X-Men franchise so that they can set it up for moving forward in creating a new direction. If you liked the old X-Men movies, except for The Last Stand, like everybody else, then that's great. If you liked First Class, that's great. Both of those movies will be able to live and survive in the future universe because this movie will set in motion things that will retcon those on screen. I think it's going to be very interesting if they do it what I think is going to happen. And I could be dead wrong. I mean, I could be way off base, but this is my opinion without doing any really serious research into this particular film's take on the event.
And the sequel's going to be Age of Apocalypse, so it's going to be really dark.
Well, I mean, Days of Future Past is going to be dark to begin with. It already looks like that.
There's nothing.
The best thing about it is it's going to take X3 out of continuity and probably X-Men Origins Wolverine out of continuity.
It is. It's going to erase.
That wouldn't be so bad.
It's going to erase the mistakes.
It's going to erase the Patrick Stewart with the bald head walking.
Does that mean that we can bring back Deadpool?
Maybe.
It'd be nice.
I mean, if the Days of the Future Past, if that's all it does is let us bring back Deadpool and let Ryan Reynolds play Deadpool with a mouth. He gets to have a mouth the whole time this time.
Well, it's going to.
I'm fine with it.
It's going to take like a $3 million payment to Rob Liefeld, but yes, we will get him if we all pitch in.
Well, as long as his feet are improperly proportioned, then I think that's the only thing in Rob Liefeld's contract, isn't it?
Well, he's laying in bed next to me, so let me ask him.
No, nobody likes that. Not even Rob Liefeld likes that.
All bad.
All bad. All right, so I think that does us tonight. I want to tell you guys again to head over to Omega Nerds Network, or the OmegaNerds.com, OmegaNerds.com, and check out all the podcasts. That includes Joe with Geeky Faucet, and Bruce with Heroes and Villains, and our missing friends, Dan and Tom from When Nerds Collide.
Hey, listen to When Nerds Collide!
Yeah, that actually sounds very much like Dan.
I'm going to go ahead because I'm the guy that likes to just rib people, but being as that they're not here, can we just say when nerds decide to show up?
Yeah, when nerds quietly disagree politely. But yeah, you should check out all those podcasts. As always, you should check out our Facebook and Twitter. We've got our Masks of Nyarlathotep stuff going. We hit the Hoosier Con, which is soon to be renamed Geek Mania today. It's the first year of the convention, and next year it'll be up again. At the end of May, we'll be at Indie PopCon. Bruce, have you guys hit your Comic-Con yet?
It comes up in about 5 days.
So that what's the what Comic-Con is that?
Tidewater Comic-Con. We're doing a panel. We've got a table there, and I don't know if Dan and Tom will even show up. It just might be me.
Yeah, I hope it goes better than our Comic-Con did.
Yeah, you'll actually be able to get in the door. We couldn't get in the door into ours.
Ouch.
Yeah, so you should check out Tidewater. That's in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia,
Coastal Virginia.
But you should check that out. We'll be at Indie PopCon with not only a table for Nerds Domain, but a table for Omega Nerds Network. And anything else I'm missing there, Jesse? Did I miss anything?
No.
I'll hit those.
I think that's everything.
Okay, check us out on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can go over to iTunes and rate our show. Give us 5 stars and write something in the comments. And check out the website.
Just give us all 1 star and say, add it up, it's 5 stars, but it's 1 star each.
Good point. It's a good point. If we all deserve 1 star, add those together, that's 5 stars. That's
I get
a solid
2 stars. I don't know what you guys are
so
talking about.
Give us 6 stars.
Yes, 8 stars.
Yes. And with that, we will talk to you guys real soon.
Peace out.
And that's it tonight for us on the Nerds Domain podcast. You can always send us an email at nerdsdomain@gmail.com or catch us on Twitter. Matt is @Quiet, Scott is @_BigDaddyT_, Johnny is @FoolsMask, Jestin is @J_Kimmett, and Shirley is @SNed70, or the website @NerdsDomain. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/NerdsDomain. We want to thank John Shop for our music. If you'd like to help us out, head over to the website and buy something through our Amazon link. It's the same price you always pay, but a little bit comes back to us. If you enjoy our podcast, we encourage you to give us a review on iTunes and let us know what you think. We also have t-shirts available over at slashloot.com at tinyurl.com/ndshirts. We'll talk to you real soon. This has been a production of the Omega Nerds Network, the network where it's on.